Hello everyone, welcome to episode 91 of Cougs on Cougs. I am Jess, this is Mary. We actually have some wins to discuss, finally, on football and basketball. So that's good news.
Yes, and also in the vein of good news, football season is over. I think we are both ready for that. We hate to be pessimists here, but listen, there's no getting around it. It was a long, hard season.
I will not lie, I was so happy when the Hawaii game was over, and not just because we won. I was kind of like, yay, we won.
Yes.
Because it's over.
Great to go out on a high note, but I saw a lot of people on Twitter who shared that same sentiment. We'll touch on some of that here in a little bit, but we will, of course, start with our quote of the week, which comes from Maya Angelou. She said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." It's not from a sports great, but I was like, I think with a young basketball team and with a football team going through all those struggles, you just have to say, okay, we did the best we could, and then you have to learn more, get better, and when you have gotten that, then you do better, right?
Yeah, do the things you know how to do really well, and then work on getting better.
We are going to kind of close shop on football because we need a big long break from it. You guys need a big long break from it. But we're going to do this in the format of a three-thing segment, and we're going to talk about 3 questions that we want answered during the off-season. 3 of many questions, but we'll just stick with 3.
There are many questions encompassed within these questions.
It's like headings and subheadings here.
Yeah, basically. First question is going to be, what is the coaching staff going to look like? We got the news yesterday that Ty Detmer was relieved of his offensive coordinator duties, might still be on the staff.
Still under contract.
On who the new offensive coordinator is going to be. So starting from there, who's going to be your new OC, and who else is going to be let go and replaced in this offseason? I think if you look at it logically, it's like someone had to be the guy, and the easiest one to point to is Ty, but I think emotionally for a lot of fans, it's hard to swallow that it's Ty, of all people.
For sure.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, absolutely, because, you know, he's everyone's hero, and when he tweeted his statement, it just absolutely broke my heart, and I think you kind of said it. Is he the scapegoat, and is he the only person who's going to be in hot water? He was the only one Monday, so it's just a matter of, is anyone else going to follow, and how soon will that be? Are they going to wait to get the new? I would guess, at least on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to wait, and then he'll reconfigure the staff, right?
Yeah.
But what about the defensive side of the ball? Were they perfect this season?
Yeah, there are going to be any changes there, which there probably should be.
We're not going to get into necessarily who we think should be fired, but I think that we can both soundly say, along with the rest of Cougar Nation, that some other changes are certainly in order. Is there anyone you would like to see at the offensive coordinator position specifically?
I don't know. I keep seeing all these names thrown out, and I feel like the ones that I really want are far-fetched, but I also thought Heath Schroyer was pretty far-fetched,
yes, and that we got him.
So I don't know. I
like Steve Sarkisian.
I feel like that one's pretty out
there. That is super far-fetched. But
Bob
that's
Stitt
what
at
I'm
Montana
asking. Bob Stitt
would be interesting.
Yes.
Basically, anybody that has current offensive coordinator experience.
Yeah.
I think Kalani needs to do basically what Dave Rose did and bring in someone like Heath Schroyer, someone who has that experience, who's been in the business a long time.
Yes. I think lack of experience certainly hurt the program this past year. And the second thing, we're looking at key returning starters. So this was a young team. There's a lot of talent that could be returning, but that might not be returning because of the year we had, because of the coaching staff, for any other reason. And aside from who's going to come back, who's going to transfer, et cetera, who's starting at quarterback?
Yeah, that's the big question. That was going to be the question, but then I was thinking, who's going to start at running back? Who's going to be your wide receivers? Like, all these positions, you know, your tight ends. Is Morona going to come back? And I don't really know, but quarterback is a huge one because with Tanner Mangum's injury, he may not be back. We don't know the timeline until September.
Totally. Joe was certainly inconsistent, so does he get coached up enough and in the offseason that he comes back and is amazing? Yeah, do you botch Joe?
Is it
someone
Jared
new
Hall off his mission?
JC transfer? Like, what's going on with this? So
or Zadak, whatever,
Dinkelman, who is connected to Ty. Yeah, gosh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions there. And then also, you know, kind of rumors with Squally. Is Squally going to be here next year? Is he going to be gone?
Riley?
Yeah, is Riley Burke going to be
We've heard other rumors stirring that we don't have sources. But
it could be both sides of the ball.
There's a lot of talks
some
going
major
on.
changes. So.
Oh, absolutely. And our third one is really a heading with lots of different subheadings. It's a big subject to broach, but we're just wondering about culture changes. Because you would also be blind to say that there does not need to be culture changes after what happened this past season. As far as players' attitudes, as far as players' discipline, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and that I think with Kalani's style, you know, he's a little more laid back compared to Bronco, of course. But I think maybe that in some ways could be negatively affecting.
I think we paid for it in some regards.
Yeah, and so I'd like to see, and maybe this will have to do with the new coaches that they bring in, but, you know, a little more strict, a little more disciplined. I mean, even just bringing up how many penalties we had, especially late in the season, that should not have happened.
Yeah, discipline, I mean, as far as team rules, but discipline as far as discipline on the field, and like we said, player attitudes. So, and I think we both feel like this starts at the very, very top of the program. We love Tom Holmoe, but it's hard, and we've even heard Kalani say that him and Tom have had some tough conversations. So you know they're butting heads. Mm-hmm. You know that there's some inexperienced people at the top of the football program that could also be contributing. Not just coaches. Totally. I think it's systemic. I think there are systemic issues, and it's very troubling to me because I don't see any real changes coming anytime soon unless you start hacking away at those.
Right. And you know what? There are teams out there that don't have the best talent, but that are disciplined enough that they produce results and they get wins. And you didn't see that from BYU this year. And I think that's what we've traditionally had. You know, maybe not the best talent and everything, but very disciplined.
I just know that towards the beginning of the season, even towards the middle of the season, everyone was making that argument that we don't have talent, we don't have talent, we don't have talent. I never bought into that. And I don't think you did either. I mean,
I don't think so.
We don't have the best of the best talent, but we have enough talent. I don't think talent was the issue. I think the culture was the issue, and I think the culture is still the issue.
Yeah, I think you had the talent to beat a lot of those teams we lost to. I don't think that was a problem.
Those are our 3 things that we want answered in the offseason, and you will understand us if we take a break from football for a few weeks, right?
Yep. I definitely think if nothing else, the expectations for next year are going to be so much lower, which, as we learned from basketball, is actually pretty good.
Low expectations, key to happiness. Yep, there you go.
Okay, let's get into basketball. We're going to put football to rest for a while. So basketball had 3 games last week.
Yep.
They beat, who did we play on Tuesday?
Princeton?
Niagara. Beat Niagara on Tuesday. And then headed to
New York
for the Barclays Center Classic, which ended up not being played in the Barclays Center.
Half of it.
Yeah, half of it did. So they played Alabama, number 25 Alabama, on Friday. Mm-hmm. Lost that one, 71-59. And then played UMass on Saturday, and that one came out with the win in the last few seconds.
Yeah, we came very close to getting swept by UMass in football and basketball, but avoided that, luckily.
Way too close for comfort.
68-66 was the final.
Yeah, so 2 out of 3 is pretty good. I'm sure we would have loved to play a lot better against Alabama, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, that game was very disappointing.
So let's get into coaching from the couch for those games. Coach Blanchard, what went wrong for you?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so this goes for actually the Alabama and the UMass games. And honestly, our whole season, if we're being honest here. We go too long without scoring, which is not something you would think you would be saying about a BYU team. No. And I think it's the fact that they're playing these half-court sets now for offense that's really throwing some of these guys off. But we are just not scoring very many points. Against Alabama, we did not go on a run, which is not something you should ever be saying about a college basketball game. I mean, even if you get run out of the gym, you should have gone on a run at some point, right? And we just didn't. And I'm telling you, if we would have gone on one run, we were right there with them the whole game, then it gets turned on its head, and we could have won. And that's why at least the Alabama game was so disappointing to me. because I feel like this team right now is winning games it should win and losing games that it should lose. And in order to have a good resume, you have to win the games you should lose, right?
Right.
So anyway, same thing in UMass. The game should not have been as close as it was. We missed.
Oh gosh, we got down by so much.
I think we ended the night shooting like 34% from the field and 20% or so from three, which both are just abysmal. I would like to see better shot selection. Sometimes you have to take the easy bucket instead of trying to be fancy and doing all these cool passes and trying to get your teardrops and finger rolls. Just go to the basket and either get the basket or get fouled. So what's your what went wrong, Coach Tyler?
Still, even since I think the Princeton game is the first one I talked about it, the second chance points that we're giving up, way too many points off turnovers, second chance points. And that really goes back to rebounding, which I think has been really terrible. Especially offensive rebounding, giving up those offensive rebounds.
You think rebounding has been terrible?
I think it has been.
Uh-oh. We're getting into my moment right here. Oh,
Yeah. That's where those second chance points come from, are those rebounds that we're not getting.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
We need to get our stats guy on that. I would like to see the percentage of points that the other team is getting off of those two categories, second chance and turnovers, because I think it would be
a lot. This is from a couple weeks ago, the UT Arlington game. They had a 25-6 lead in second chance points, which is huge. And then going back to Princeton, it was that 65% of their points came off of second chance points, which is also a huge margin. Now
we're going into what went right, and my what went right is actually rebounding. I do agree with what Coach Tyler is saying as far as those offensive boards go. We're getting enough, but we need to stop giving up those second chance points. But we out-rebounded UMass 43-31, even if it didn't feel like it. And when you're not scoring those points, 68-66, very low-scoring game, then you need to be getting those boards and giving yourself the second chance opportunities, which we did. We did do some of that. So we out-rebounded them by a dozen, which I like. And we matched Alabama. We each had 34 rebounds. So... Get 5 more rebounds than Alabama, and I think you've also got a different ball game.
In that UMass game, one of the reasons that we had such a big margin was because of our offensive rebounding, which was good, but also means we missed a ton of shots.
Yes. Yes, we did.
But I think we had 19 offensive rebounds in that game. So that's pretty good.
Definitely how we got back into it.
For sure. Hey, what went right? So I've been really impressed, honestly, with the defense. In both of those games, I feel like defense is keeping us in that, too. And I guess that goes different years. You think rebound is keeping us in, and I think defense is keeping us in, which is sort of the same thing in some cases.
Same, yeah.
But really, it was the effort, and I really liked what Coach Rose said after the UMass game. This is post-game to, I think it was to Greg Wrubell. No, it wasn't Greg Wrubell because he wasn't there. It was Jason Shepard and Mark Durant. So I wrote this quote down and sent it to us so I could read it. So he basically said our effort was determined by whether or not we were playing well. He said, which was just not acceptable. And he said it's totally unacceptable if you're going to have a good team. He says your effort has to be sustained by your will, your determination, not by how you're playing. So he said at that point in the first half.
That's a good quote of the week.
Yeah, I know, right? In the first half, he was saying that the effort was determined how well they were playing, and they were playing badly, so their effort was bad. And I think it was Peyton Dastrup post-game that said, like, the coaches really got into him at halftime and brought a lot of fire and got after him for that. So he said in the second half, he says that they came out with their effort, and that's how they won the game. He said they won the game with 19 offensive rebounds, 11 steals, and 6 blocks. And he said it was all effort. Effort and execution in the second half sustained over a long period of time.
All right, it's time for Talk of the Town, and we are going to start with a couple things from the Hawaii trip that obviously the team took. They were there for Thanksgiving. It looked gorgeous. We're jealous of everyone who went, even though it looked kind of rainy and windy at the game.
Did you see the rainbow, though?
Yes.
That was amazing.
I saw someone say nice of their mascot to show up because Hawaii's the Rainbow Warriors. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's pretty good. So we have Akile Davis tweeted out a picture of him and somebody on the team.
Another teammate.
We're terrible.
Sorry.
We don't know who it is. Riding some mopeds around.
So it looks like they did some fun stuff, right?
Well, I would hope so. It's Hawaii. So.
Although another funny thing I will say that I saw is Moroni Laulupututau tweeted about how Squally, took a business trip to Hawaii because Squally had a great game. And Squally tweeted back and he was like, yeah, I was a little bit mean to my mom though. And he did a screenshot of the text where his mom was like, hey, go check out the water. And Squally basically told her, no. I put up the screenshot, but he was not having it. So he truly was there for business.
Well, good.
Yeah. Okay, this next one comes from Reddit CFB, College Football. Kalani Sitake gave Nick Rolovich a lay after we beat them, and it was the end of both of our seasons. We finished 4-9. Rainbow Warriors were 3-9. Just a really classy move by your coach there. So, is our football program perfect? No. Do changes need to be made? Yes. Is Kalani a very classy stand-up guy?
Yes.
Yes.
Easy. Okay, this was interesting from Laura Turneman, Jonah's mother. Says, my number 3 gets to play his last 2 games of BYU football as number 7 with the Hodge on his back. This one's for you, Bo, rep and family. So
that was really cool that he did that.
Yeah, Jonah wore number 7.
I freaked out. I didn't know why at first.
Against Hawaii.
He did have a good catch. And then Gavin Fowler, that was on senior day against UMass. Gavin Fowler wore Grant Jones's number. Gavin actually wore the one that said Jones on the back. Jonah actually changed his number, so it said Trineman, but he wore that number for Bo, which I thought was very sweet.
I'm sad Jonah's leaving, though. That went too fast.
Oh, me too. Oh, speaking of people who we are sad are leaving, this was from Laura Warner, and it was Fred's birthday last week on November 19th. She said, happy 21st birthday, Fred. I'm so proud of the man you have become. I love you, son. And we just had to share it, mostly because of those baby pictures.
He's so adorable.
Adorable.
He's still adorable. But
he is still adorable and has great hair, but you know we can't resist those baby pictures. Come on.
No, I can't wait to watch Fred in the NFL.
Amen.
Speaking of the NFL, so congrats to Jamal Williams on his big night versus the Steelers. We were tweeting out stuff from our account. Pretty much everybody was tweeting because it's Jamal Williams, and he had 2 touchdowns against the Steelers.
Yeah, and so many rush attempts. Like, he was their guy. It was awesome.
In, like, classic Jamal swag daddy fashion.
His dancing in celebration.
It was fantastic.
Amazing.
Loved it.
Okay, we have one thing from basketball, and I loved this. It was after the Princeton game, so a while back, but BYU Sports Nation asked, what did you learn about this BYU basketball team in the win over Princeton? And I love that they got a response from Elijah Bryant himself, who is, by the way, in the picture. Right. And he said that we win the game as a team. And I just, like, my heart grew 3 sizes. I was like, oh, it's so cute. And to hear him saying that, it's true. They do.
From your team captain.
Yeah, and that they recognize that they win the... Right. You know, he didn't chime in and say, oh, because I scored this many points. Like, no.
No.
Like, how cute is that?
It's good man, Elijah Bryant.
I loved it. Okay, so as kind of a tail end of our Talk of the Town segment, we have a few Raisin them right things.
Yeah, we always love these. This is from Melissa at Yolissa12. She says, she requested Coordinator's Corner JCW's for her birthday lunch. That's my girl.
She looks like she's maybe, 10, 11?
Sure. Somewhere in there. But yeah, I think that's awesome.
Young enough that it's impressive
for her birthday.
That's our kind of girl right there.
It.
This one comes from Colby Pearson, who tweeted a picture of, I think, his brand new baby. I think the baby's name is Crew. And he's got his little BYU mat, his BYU slippers and hat, and Colby said, go Cougs. So cute.
And then, of course, JNLC23, our friend Jen, tweeted this out. My 4-year-old drew me the BYU football team.
They're so cute.
I love all the BYUs and
UYB. Wait, it says UYB, and then is that the goalpost? Like, listen, I love that drawing. I'd frame it. Look at their arms. You can see their shoulder
and
pads.
Their numbers and their serious faces.
So really cute. Good. That is hashtag raising them right on all accounts. So keep sending us those. All right. So that is it for Talk of the Town, raising them right. As for what's next, we've got BYU versus UVU. They're calling it the Crosstown Clash. And speaking of revenge,
it a must-win game.
We wanted revenge against UT Arlington. I think we want this revenge a little more, maybe.
Oh, so much more. Do not lose to UVU 2 years in a row, please.
We will never hear the end of it.
For the sake of humanity.
Mm-hmm. So that's Wednesday. That's at 7 p.m. That will be on BYU TV. Pressure. Hopefully there are a lot of you over there in UVU's little gym, but if you can't catch it, BYU TV.
Was that a little brother joke? Speaking of little brothers, BYU plays at Utah State on Saturday at 7. So that is on AT&T Sports Network Rocky Mountain Root Sports.
You know we love those announcers.
Oh boy.
So two big in-state games coming up. So a big week for basketball. 2 good wins if we can get those taken care of. As for our sponsors this week, our first one is BYU Women's Volleyball. We wanted to give them a big congrats on that 13th seed that they got on Sunday. They get to host the tournament. They have home court advantage. So we will be pulling for them this weekend. First game on Friday.
They are good. Also sponsored by Jordan Leslie. He tweeted out, said that he's healthy and ready to go, so he says he can learn a playbook and be able to contribute in a game as soon as Thursday. Someone hire him.
May you always stay loyal to the white and blue. For Jess, I'm Mary. We'll see you next week.